Alaska gets more annual sunshine than Germany. In addition to that, Obama's solar subsidies have vastly improved solar output and expanded the industry's reach throughout our nation. And that's the way it is today, Monday, February 11th, 2013. I'm Thom Hartmann on the news.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program.
Well, the hysteria is increasing. Greetings, my friends, patriots, lovers of democracy, truth, and justice, believers in peace, freedom, and the American way. It is just going nuts on Capitol Hill. It's like, oh, no, the White House says, if we have to do this sequester, we're going to have to kill off all these or, postpone all these. And the Republicans are going, but you must have austerity. It worked so well in Greece and Spain, after all, don't you know? Although there are some differences between us and Greece and Spain. There is a new school of thought, of economic thought. It's arguably new. John Maynard Keynes kind of made passing reference to what might be its early ancestor in his book on money. It's called Modern Monetary Theory. One of its chief proponents is Dr. Michael Hudson, the president of the Institute for the Study of Long-Term Economic Trends, ISLET, the author of Trade, Development, and Foreign Debts, and his newest book, The Bubble and Beyond, and his website, michael-hudson.com. Dr. Hudson, welcome back to the program.
Thank you very much, Tom.
Very glad to have you with us. Modern monetary theory, let's start at the beginning. Why is it that deficits don't... Well, first of all, could that be an accurate statement?
No theory can save a country if you have bad administrators. I don't think it would matter how good a theory there was if you have the banks running things to ignore it. What we do say is that the austerity is unnecessary, that deficits are unnecessary to borrow from the banks. You don't have to have budget cuts. You don't have to go back to austerity because all money, whether it's bank money or whether it's government money, all money's created on a computer keyboard electronically now that we don't have a gold standard anymore. In 1971, when the United States was finally forced off gold by its military spending, nobody knew what the future monetary system would be. And it turned out that there wasn't any constraint on how much money could be created. So most money's been created by banks. And they create it when you go into a bank, you take out a loan, and the bank doesn't lend out a deposit. The bank simply writes an electronic credit to your account, and then you get to spend it. And the bank can borrow from the Federal Reserve at 0.25%. So right now, the banks lend to you money at a high rate of interest, borrowing almost free money from the Fed. The Fed can create money to finance the banks. They can create money to finance a real estate bubble. They can create money for the banks to make gambles. Why can't they make the same money for the government to finance the debts? Well, the banks say, no, you have to lend us money and let us finance the government debt at interest. And the government could say, and what we say at monetary theory, wait a minute, the job of the central bank is to finance the government debt. Simply like that's how the United States fought the Civil War with greenbacks.
Sure.
It's
England. But isn't there a... you've raised a whole bunch of things here. First of all, isn't there a law that says that when the federal government issues treasuries, if that they have to be run through private banks in order for the Fed to buy? Somehow there's private banks in between the treasuries and the Fed.
So, for instance, the federal government, after the bailout in 2008, the federal government simply, for Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac alone, it just said, okay, we're now adding those to the government balance sheet. We owe now $5.3 trillion. The Federal Reserve created $2 trillion worth of just free credit to give to the banks. The Treasury, most Treasury bills recently are either electronically held by foreign governments in exchange for the balance of payments deficit, or they're held by the Social Security Fund. There's no need at all for central banks to have to borrow from the private banks, either here or in England or Japan or in any other country with a central bank.
Right. So we're sort of getting in the weeds here, but I want to understand this more completely. You're suggesting that first of all, am I correct in my belief, my understanding that private banks are somehow somewhere in the process between our Treasury Department and our central and the Fed, our central bank?
Yes.
That the law requires that when the Fed basically invents money and loans it to the United States government by buying treasuries, those have to go through for-profit banks, and those banks make a profit on that transaction.
No law like that at all. And there never has been a law like that.
There is not. Okay.
You pointed out before that talking about money and complexity is like going through weeds, and you're right. There are so many complexities that even if you and I can make a very clear statement, if people haven't actually worked in a bank and worked in the field, it's very hard for them to understand these words that you and I are using right now. We have a website for monetary theory at the University of Missouri at Kansas City called New Economic Perspectives. And every day we walk through readers with this kind of tangle of how to go through all of this process. It is hard, and monetary theory attracts a lot of cranks.
Well, no, I get that, but very simply, just to get the whole central bank thing out of the way and the private bank thing. Really, the essential issue here is that since 71 to 73, when the gold window closed,
71.
Well, it officially started in 71, but in 73 was when it wrapped up, was it not? I think, but whatever. Let's say 71. I thought it took a couple of years to kind of unwind that, but I may well be wrong.
Nixon stopped it in mid-August.
Yeah. Okay. Of 71. At that point, the only constraint legally on the federal government to create money, or the Fed to create money, which is not the federal government, was, I mean, there was no legal constraint.
To create money, and it's quasi-government. On the Federal Reserve note, it used to, every Federal Reserve note until 1971 had to be backed by 25% gold.
Right.
So in other words, America's gold reserve backed the physical currency that the Fed does. Now, most money isn't really currency. Most money is bank deposits. But the currency actually was backed by the gold stock. That was what stopped.
Right. But so what? The point that I'm making is that one of the arguments that is made is that we could simply, write ourselves a check, basically, or mint $1 trillion coin or whatever. I mean, there's a variety of ways to do this, or just put some numbers in a computer, and bring this country to full employment without creating inflation via this process of modern monetary theory. Is that an accurate statement?
That's right. That's the aim.
And the reason why is because the sole arbiter of what's going on with the nation's currency is the nation. So how did the banks get in this thing? We just have a minute left.
Really, only by lobbying, only by backing politicians who agree not to use a central bank to help pull the country out of depression, but to use a central bank basically to give money to the commercial banks, to Wall Street. That the money that's been created has not been to employ Americans. It's been employed on the bank bailout.
Right.
It's been employed on the bank giveaways. Now, if the government can create money, bank giveaways, to bail out Wall Street, why not spend money on the real economy and employ people?
That makes perfect sense. Dr. Michael Hudson, president of the Institute for the Study of Long-Term Economic Trends, the author of Trade, Development, and Foreign Debt, and The Bubble and Beyond, the website michael-hudson.com. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.